In today's clip, I'm going to talk about my personal, extensive experience of how to deal with FOMO, or fear of missing out. Hey, XenPuck here. Now, I'm the kind of guy who says, I don't really care about other people's opinions of me. Of course, that's not entirely true. What I really mean is that I try to limit the influences that others have on my own mental state to as much of a degree as I can get away with, right? Obviously, there are still people whose opinions matter a great deal to me, right? That's just being human. For me, obviously, they are the type of people that know and love me, and vice versa. I find that these two groups are generally lean towards the same actual persons, right? But these days, all I read about is how the vast, vast majority of people out in the world are being increasingly influenced by an increasing rather than decreasing number of people. Main cause, obviously, is social media, aka the completely fake world, right? So people are spending more and more time looking at what their friends and family and acquaintances are doing, and they're experiencing more and more FOMO, fear of missing out. This is kind of like the opposite of a happy tingle in your tummy, isn't it? When you see something great happening to a friend of yours and you think, man, when's the last time I did something that awesome? Or how come I didn't know to invest in crypto only a few years, or possibly even only a few months ago? Ah, yes. I can't say that I'm immune to FOMO, okay? Whenever I feel a tinge of it coming on, here's where I direct my own mind to deal with it, right? Obviously, this is just a bunch of personal anecdotes, so it only works for me. But maybe someone else who can hear this can find some similar parallels in your own lives, okay? Number one, well, first of all, I recall a time before social media. That's always helpful. So tip one's just, turn it off, okay? Don't read it. Seriously. Nobody needs Facebook or Instagram, okay? I mean, they're useful in very specific situations, such as I no longer have to remember anyone's birthdays, right? That's what Facebook is to me, a glorified friend birthday reminder. Nothing more than that, okay? I mean, nothing you read there qualifies as news, okay? And always remember, almost no one posts anything less than their own highlight of the week at the very lowest time frame, okay? So nothing on social media ever really resembles reality, right? It's more like million-dollar mansions that are trying to be sold, right? Have you been to an open house of a high-priced piece of real estate? It's all staged, okay? And even if it's not all staged, it's mostly staged and photographed at only the very best time of the day, right? So just turn it off. And look, I get it, if you're younger, you might think not being on social media would be difficult because you've never lived without it. But you should try it at least once in a while, right? Either delete your account or just leave for a week, right? And only contacts your friends via text, right? No reason to go cold turkey, but I'm positive you'll see a huge difference in the quality of life, right? Number two, I don't know about you guys, but I've realized recently that I've been missing out all my life, right? So I just focus on that, all the practice that I've had, okay? I mean, I was an immigrant as a child, so I missed out on consistency in terms of which culture to grow up in, or the possible same group of lifelong friends that I would have had if I stayed in my old country, okay? Also, we were just plain on poor during our first decade in this country, so I recall feeling like I'm missing out on all the cool holidays my classmates would tell me about. But here's still a difference, right? Pre-social media, sure, I might feel jealousy for not having gone on some sweet vacation, of a classmate's. But that's still just a handful of stories I'd hear about, within the span of a year. It's still night and day to compare that to now, where at any given moment, it sure seems like all my friends are just going to or have just gone on an awesome trip, right? So my point is, the scale makes a huge difference in the effect on one's mentality, right? Got off topic. Let me go back to my extensive experience of missing out, okay? I was poor in college, I was poor at my first few jobs, so economics alone made me feel like I was missing out on that Simple feeling of not having to worry about what to order at even a diner or a brunch, okay? Growing up with as an Asian American with certain scholastic expectations hanging over me meant that I felt like missing out on socializing that all people want, right? And it's not just about money, all right? All of this brings me anxiety because I grew up in the USA and we all watch the media, right? So often I wondered, especially when I was younger, how come my life doesn't resemble anything that I see on TV, right? Again, that was bad. But compared to now, now's way worse. Because before, at least I could say, hey, TV and movies aren't real, they're just an idealized version of what life could look like, but everybody's an actor or an actress, right? The real lie these days is that people somehow think that social media's representation of our own friends and acquaintances is more real than what is on TV or in the movies, right? But the truth is that it is maybe slightly more real, but no less heavily edited. The only difference is that these days, more and more people are just better and more expert at editing their own lives, right? Probably due to the evolution of media in the last decade or so. Now, obviously, I'm a poor example of editing if you've seen any of my clips. I just don't do it, okay? Third and finally, I think most importantly, I can always point to my mentality as a guard against FOMO, right? No one can be the best compared to everyone else on the planet, right? Or even the hundreds or thousands of people that one has met. So that's why my whole goal is to limit the number of people who really can or would influence my mentality, right? And I filter that group down to really only the people that I actually know. Social media is propagated by influencers who are mostly normal-ish people that seem more relatable. But look at it like this. If you don't really know them, then why would you trust their advice or believe in their lifestyle, right? When all you're seeing is an edited version of their lives. Again, I'm not shitting on influencers, mind you. I think for specific areas of expertise, they can be fine. But for most people, if you're starting to feel anxiety because of comparisons made between one's own life and that of the more exalted new digital stars of the world, please stop, okay? None of us know really what's going on in the life of anyone else. In these very heavily edited digital lives of those of us who choose to participate, beauty and pleasure can easily be a mask that hides the same anxiety and regret and loss that we all have to deal with sometimes. So please keep those people who can really produce anxiety in you to a low number, right? If you're prone to it, honestly, again, I'm gonna go back to method number one, just turn it off, right? I get it, social media can feel like a drug sometimes. But if we know that, then we know we need to control it, right? And for those of us who are prone particularly to addictions, then perhaps cold turkey is like the only way, right? But that's on each one of you, right? First you gotta know yourself, then you can find out how to solve your own problems. Anyway, I always think the mental aspect is always the most important in building a satisfactory life, right? Just remember, in the long run, you're not competing against anyone but yourself. So the next time you wonder, hey, how come, you didn't buy crypto 5 years ago? Just remember, you probably did the best that you could with the information you had at the time, right? So if you think that crypto was too expensive back then it certainly is much too expensive right now, right? We can't all be Nostradamuses, right? So how do you guys deal with FOMO? What tricks do you use to battle the inevitable stream of anxiety? Let me know in the comments below. I'd appreciate a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz if you feel like it. Cheers.